wrong question all these years. The question should not have been how much exercise do we need, but how little do we require.
Yeah, true, very true.
Remember that one. I used to occasionally have, and still do occasionally have, people do a second set, for instance, of Nautilus laterals, and I realize that kind of an increase is wrong. It's way too much. Rather than have someone do a second set, what they should do is, rather than a full second set, maybe do 1 rep extra. When you start making increases in volume, you think you're not doing enough perhaps after a period of time. The increments you have to start out very, very small. Because again, the demands even from that one set are of an enormous magnitude. And I'm beginning to understand much more clearly how precise all this has to be. Science is a precise discipline.
Right.
And there's no way of accurately measuring all these things. But there are accurate and precise ways of increasing volume and resistance and intensity and all that. What I've come to understand more clearly is something else Jones said, that from the time you start training, you should be able to reach the absolute upper limit dictated by your genetic endowment within 2 years, and he was right. It's always noticed that even after up to a 2 to 3 week layoff, they come back and they're stronger.
The truth of the matter is I think we've just plateaued, so we're going to take a week layoff.
I have noted with all of my clients, I have had clients that were either forced to take layoffs or just took layoffs for whatever reason. Almost all of them expressed an anxiety that, geez, I'm afraid I'm going to lose something. I have had people take up to 3 weeks off, and they almost, in every single case, come back stronger. I asked Dorian Yates the same thing the other week, and he said, Mike, that's true. This is not just a minor point to be glossed over, John. I'm beginning to suspect this thing with frequency has a hell of a lot to do with it.
So are you suggesting, or perhaps, that in future people could train intensely and then back off for even 2 to 3 weeks before training again?
Maybe train each body part once every 2 weeks. Why not? Progress should not be an unpredictable, irregular phenomenon. If you're training intensely enough to stimulate growth, growth is only stimulated during the workout.
Right.
If you're working out too long and too frequently, you will short-circuit both the recovery and the growth process.
So the higher the intensity, even if your workout is comparatively brief, you can be doing too much. So even 3 sets could prove too much, huh?
3 sets could prove too much. But I have no doubt this is the direction this has to go in. This high-intensity stuff places a demand on the body that is unfucking real. There obviously is something used up, and I'm seeing now that there's more used up than I realized. I don't know what the biochemicals are. I mean, I know some of them, but there's a lot probably nobody knows.
Right.
This high-intensity stuff is really quite fascinating. If I had the money, I'd like to fund my own research.
Oh, it'd be phenomenal. Is the training program going to include training once every 2 weeks or once a week?
Well, I tell them that I can't issue a surefire prescription for everybody.
Right.
The general theory, again, advanced by Jones, is valid. The practical application will vary because of this great range of variation that exists among individuals with regard to individual tolerance of exercise. I have a 44-year-old client, for instance, John, that understands the theory, but he still wants to work out every day. After talking to him till I was blue in the face, and he said, I want to train anyway, I said, okay, I'll take your money if you want me to be in the gym with you.
Yeah.
He trains every day, and he still makes progress. On the other hand, I had a young kid who's 21. You would think he'd have perhaps a stronger constitution. I had him down to 3, or at the most 4 sets per workout every 4 fucking days, and he was still overtraining. Just as people vary enormously with regards to height and weight and intelligence and every other genetic trait, I'm beginning to see how widely people vary in regards to recovery ability. Some people just cannot tolerate exercise more than once every several, maybe even 10 days. Everybody is so darn hidebound, tradition-bound. Gee, you got to work out 3 times a week. Why? Because we eat 3 square fucking meals a day. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Everybody is still crunched in by these superfluous considerations. As Arthur Jones once said about another area of endeavor, rather than continue in the same vein everybody else is doing, take off in a totally fucking different direction. It's a possibility, anyway.
Yeah,
I think there's something to it. Again, everybody that I've talked to, and looking back over my own experience, Dorian said that he noticed it too. Even after up to a 2 and even 3 week layoff, people come back and are stronger. They can do 1, 2, 3, even more reps than they did the last workout. That's significant. When I see a guy make a 1 rep improvement, I'm ecstatic. I understand that represents that there's something in the muscle that wasn't there the last time.
Right.
That means that the workout that was conducted 2 weeks ago not only stimulated growth, the growth was produced and maintained even though he performed no activity for 2 to 3 weeks.
That's right. That would certainly indicate, as you said, too, the requirement for a longer recovery and growth period for these people.
Yep. I am continually amazed at people who are willing to go into that gym twice a day, every fucking day of the year, and make 0 progress.